Let's discuss about postpartum hemorrhage. What is postpartum hemorrhage? Blood loss greater than 500 ml in vaginal delivery. In normal vaginal delivery, if the blood loss is greater than 500 ml, then it's called postpartum hemorrhage. Or blood loss greater than 1000 ml in cesarean section. In cesarean section, if the blood loss is greater than 1000 ml, then it is called postpartum hemorrhage. Postpartum hemorrhage can be divided into grades. That is, a postpartum hemorrhage is said to be minor. If the blood loss is between 500 to 1000 ml. Okay, if the blood loss is between 500 to 1000 ml, and that postpartum hemorrhage is called minor postpartum hemorrhage. And postpartum hemorrhage is said to be major if the blood loss is greater than 1000 ml. And postpartum hemorrhage is said to be severe if the blood loss is greater than 2 liters. These are the different grades of postpartum hemorrhage. And there are two types of postpartum hemorrhage. They are primary postpartum hemorrhage and secondary postpartum hemorrhage. Postpartum hemorrhage is said to be primer if the hemorrhage occurs within 24 hours of delivery. Within 24 hours of childbirth, we can say. And postpartum hemorrhage is said to be secondary if hemorrhage occurs after 24 hours. Okay, so let's see the causes of postpartum hemorrhage. Causes can be remembered by mnemonic called 4Ts. 4Ts. What are these 4Ts? First one is atonic postpartum hemorrhage. Tonic, T for tonic, right? So first one is atonic postpartum hemorrhage. Second one is traumatic postpartum hemorrhage. Third one is coagulopathy. That is thrombin. T for thrombin. Fourth one is other causes or tissue causes. Let's see one by one. First one is atonic postpartum hemorrhage. What is this atonic postpartum? Atonic postpartum hemorrhage is due to atonicity of uterus. Atonicity. So all of us know, after delivery there will be contraction of uterus, right? Due to this contraction, the blood vessels will be constricted, right? Due to contraction of uterus, this leads to contraction of blood vessels in uterus, and that will help in stoppage of hemorrhage, because there is contraction of blood vessels, and that help in stoppage of hemorrhage. But in atonic uterus, what happens is this contraction will be weak. This contraction of uterus will be weak, and that results in failure of contraction of blood vessels, that ultimately result in hemorrhage. Okay, this is what happens in atonic postpartum hemorrhage. Let's see the risk factors for this atonic postpartum hemorrhage. The risk factors are when the woman is grand multipara, when there is malnutrition or anemia, when there is previous history of atonic postpartum hemorrhage and antepartum hemorrhage, that due to placenta previa, placenta absorption, over distended uterus due to multiple pregnancies, hydramnios and macrosomia. In all these conditions, there will be in over distended uterus or multiple pregnancy, hydramnios, macrosomia. In all these conditions, what happens is uterus will be over distended. Due to this, uterus will develop atonicity, right? Even in obesity, precipitate labor, and prolonged labor. As all of us know what is precipitate labor. Here what happens is all the three phases of delivery, that is first phase, first stage of delivery, second stage of delivery and third stage of delivery will happen in a very short time. Will happen in a very short time in precipitate labor. Okay, and when there is mismanaged third stage of labor, inadvantage use of oxytocin, use of general and epidural anesthesia, especially halothane. Retain, you see in halothane what happens is there will be relaxation of uterus, and you know this property of halothane, that is relaxation of uterus, has been used in can be used in treating malpresentations and retain placental fragments, morbidity, adherent placenta, fibroid uterus. These are the risk factors for atonic postpartum hemorrhage. Let's discuss about traumatic postpartum hemorrhage. This postpartum hemorrhage is due to some trauma. Okay, is due to some trauma or injury, like lacerations of cervix, vagina and perineum, or hematomas, colporexis, rupture of uterus, These are the various injuries that will result in traumatic postpartum hemorrhage. Let's see the risk factors for traumatic postpartum hemorrhage. Traumatic postpartum hemorrhage. When instrumental delivery is done, vaginal birth after cesarean section, phase 2 pubis delivery, precipitate labor. All these conditions results in traumatic postpartum hemorrhage. You see, precipitate labor can result both in atonic postpartum hemorrhage and traumatic postpartum hemorrhage. You remember this. Let's say blood coagulopathy. When there is some problem with coagulation and that results in failure of coagulation, that ultimately results in postpartum hemorrhage. Let's see the conditions. This can take place in disseminated intravascular coagulation or in hypofibronemia, all these two conditions can result in blood coagulopathy that results in postpartum hemorrhage. Let's see the risk factors. Obstruction, sepsis, intrauterine death, severe preeclampsia, HELLP syndrome. These are the risk factors for blood coagulopathy. There are few facts that you have to remember here. Is most common cause of postpartum hemorrhage. Most common cause of postpartum hemorrhage is atonic uterus. Most common cause of primary postpartum hemorrhage is also atonic uterus. Most common cause of secondary postpartum hemorrhage is retained placenta. Retained placenta. Okay, these facts you have to remember. This can be asked as MCQs. And the fourth one is tissue causes or other causes. This is when there is retained products of conception in the uterus or retained placenta. This leads to postpartum hemorrhage. Okay, and as I already showed you, the most common cause of secondary postpartum hemorrhage is retained placenta. Okay, let's move to diagnosis of postpartum hemorrhage. Diagnosis can be done by Salk index, based on Salk index, obstetric Salk index, or urgency grid. This urgency grid is based on these two index. Okay, now let's see one by one. Salk index. Salk index is the ratio of heart rate by systolic BP. The normal value for this Salk index is 0.5 to 0.7, and this is used in intensive treatment. This is used in intensive treatment units and trauma center to estimate the amount of blood loss. This Salk index is used in intensive care units and trauma centers. For what? To know the amount of blood loss. To know the amount of blood loss. Okay, and if the value is greater than 0.9 to 1.1, then this indicates that immediate or intensive resuscitation is required. If the value is between 0.9 or to 0.1, between 0.9 to 1.1, then this indicates that there is need of intensive resuscitation. Then obstetric Salk index. In pregnancy, the normal value of this index is 0.7 to 0.8. If the value is greater than 1, it indicates that massive hemorrhage has been. It indicates that massive hemorrhage, and it also indicates for blood transfusion. Now, urgency grid. Based on these two values, obstetric Salk index and Salk index, urgency grid has been proposed. Let's see how it has been graded. Let's see how they are graded. Severe grade 1, moderate grade 2, mild grade 3, and compensate. So when do we grade all these things? When the blood loss is between 500 ml to 1000 ml, that means the blood loss is 10 to 15%. When the blood loss is to this amount, there will be normal BP or systolic BP, and the symptoms include palpitation, mild tachycardia, dizziness. At this condition, the obstetric Salk index will be less than 1, and degree of shock urgency is compensated. When the loss of blood is between 1000 to 500 ml, there will be slight fall in systolic blood pressure, rise in diastolic BP leading to increased pulse rate. And the symptoms will be weakness, marked tachycardia, fatigue. Obstetric shock index will be greater than 1, and the grade is mild grade 3. Okay, when the loss of blood volume is between 1500 to 2000, the BP will be, there will be moderate fall in systolic blood pressure. And the symptoms include restlessness, marked tachycardia, pallor, oliguria, and OCI value will be greater than 1.5. The grade is moderate grade 2. When the blood loss is greater than 2000 ml, or when the blood loss is greater than 40%, there will be marked fall in systolic blood pressure, and the symptoms will be collapse, air hunger, anuria, and obstetric shock index will be greater than 2. The grade is severe grade 1.